Hello everyone! Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Dahil tax season ngayon, April 2021, so naisipan ko na gumawa ng video about taxation. Timing din na meron din akong class no, for transfer taxes. And ang topic namin is transfer taxes. So, for this video, I will discuss to you what are transfer taxes. So first, alamin natin kung ano yung nature ng transfer taxes. So yung transfer taxes are taxes imposed on the gratuitous transfer of property. So kung meron kayong background regarding contracts or obligations, di ba meron tayong classification ng contracts according to cost or consideration. So may tatlong klaseng cost or consideration. We have onerous, meaning to say, meron siyang kabayaran. Like for example, gusto mong bumili ng house and lot. So pag bumili ka ng house and lot, of course, merong bayad, yung tinatawag nating selling price. Kasi onerous siya na contract, merong kapalit. Second is remuneratory or remunerative, meaning meron siyang equivalent na service na consideration as a remuneration. Third is gratuitous, okay? Meaning libre, walang kapalit. So yung topic natin ngayon is about transfer taxes, which refer to taxes on gratuitous transfer, meaning to say, yung mga transfer na walang kapalit or walang bayad, okay? Ano yung mga kind of transfers na walang bayad, no? Like, we have estate taxes and donors taxes. Ano itong estate tax? Itong estate tax, ini-impose ito kapag merong transfer from a dead person to a living person. Like for example, namatay yung tatay ni A. So, syempre, kung meron siyang mga properties, yung properties niya mata-transfer doon sa kanyang mga heirs. No? So yun yung example ng estate tax. Donor's tax naman kapag merong donation. Like for example, meron akong property, gusto kong ibigay sa kapatid ko na walang bayad. So ang tawag doon, donation. So under the tax code, meron palang tax na ini-impose kapag nagbibigay ka ng libre, no? Kasi sabi nga nila, kapag nagbigay ka ng something or ng property na libre, isa yung privilege, no, ng person to transfer one property to a property from one person to another. And therefore, dahil isa yung privilege, the state can tax it, no, can impose a tax on it. So kaya meron tayong estate tax tsaka donors tax, no, kahit na itong mga transactions na ito wala namang kabayaran or they are gratuitous in nature. So let's start with estate taxes. So ano yung basis natin? Bakit tayo nag-impose ng estate tax? It is a tax daw on the transfer of economic benefits and enjoyment of property from a decedent to the heir. Kasi tinatransfer mo ngayon yung enjoyment, your economic benefit ng property from the person who died to his or her heirs. So yung justifications natin dyan are the following theories. Number one is redistribution of wealth theory. Dahil nag-distribute ka ngayon ng wealth, no, to your heirs, kaya itatax siya ng government. Second, benefit received theory, kasi yung person na naka-receive ng property, meron siyang benefit na nakukuha over that property. And the privilege or state partnership theory, kasi daw, yung state daw is a silent partner, no? And yung pagta-transfer ng property is a privilege, no? Kasi before you can transfer a property from one person to another, kailangan mo dumaan sa government or sa state. So privilege siya. And ability to pay theory, kasi yung person daw na nag-receive ng property now has the ability to pay or ability to contribute to the government. So yun yung mga theories, yung basis natin or that justifies, no, the imposition of estate tax. But basically, alam naman natin na the state can tax at anything at any time because taxation power is it has a very wide, no, coverage, no. It is unlimited It is plenary ultimate, di ba? So wala siyang limitation, di ba? May mga provided na limitations sa batas, pero generally, the state can tax at anything at any time. So kahit na libre yan, wala namang bayad yung estate tax, at hindi mo naman kagustuhan na magmamana ka ng properties, dahil may power yung state to tax anything, so wala tayong magagawa. So kailangan natin magbayad ng estate taxes. And yung donors taxes naman, ang kaibahan ng estate at donors, parehas lang sila na gratuitous transfer, meaning libre na transfer, walang bayad. However, ang kaibahan nilang dalawa is yung estate tax kapag may namatay. Yung donors tax naman, during the lifetime. Kunyari, buhay ka pa, gusto mo ibigay yung property mo sa anak mo or sa kaibigan mo, during your lifetime siya nag-i-effect. So, bakit merong donors tax? Para ma-prevent yung tax avoidance, no? Meaning, yung iba, para maiwasan nila yung estate tax, nagdo-donate na lang sila during the lifetime. Kasi before the train law, yung tax rate ng estate tsaka donors tax magkaiba. Mas mababa yung tax rate for donors tax kesa sa estate tax. Kasi yung estate tax, meron siyang tax table at progressive siya. Nagadepende yung amount ng liability mo sa tax doon sa value ng gross estate. But with the donors tax, fixed kasi yung donors tax at saka maliit yung kanyang tax rate. Kaya yung iba, instead na magbayad sila ng estate tax no upon death, dinodonate na lang nila. Bago sila mamatay, nagdodonate na lang sila ng property sa kanilang mga anak para maiwasan nila yung estate tax. Pero sabi ng batas or sabi ng government, i-tax natin yung donors tax kasi iniiwasan nila yung estate tax. Kaya, merong donors tax. Okay? So, una natin pag-usapan dito sa video na to is yung estate taxes. So, ito yung mga circumstances no kung kailan nag-i-exist yung estate tax. So, unang-una dapat may mamatay, syempre. Kasi estate tax, ito yung gratuitous transfer that is effective upon death. Then, yung namatay, dapat meron siyang properties, pwede lupa, pwede bahay, or meron siyang mga utang. Okay? Siyempre, kung may namatay, wala naman siyang naiwang properties, so wala tayong problema, wala tayong babayaran na estate tax. Kasi yung concern lang naman ng state is kung may naiwan siyang properties at ang mga properties na to, itatransmit niya to his or her heirs. So, rate of tax. Magkano na ngayon ang rate of tax ng estate tax? Fixed na siya at 6% no, of the value of the net estate. Unlike before, naka-tax table yung tax rate natin for estate tax. No? But ngayon, dahil may bago tayong batas, train law, fixed na siya at 6%. So, for estate tax, meron tayong different kinds of taxpayers here. So, remember nyo yung sa income tax, di ba, we have individual taxpayers also. No? We have resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, non-resident alien. Same is true here no, in estate tax. Kaya lang, ang pinagkaiba dito is yung situs of taxation. Ano nga ulit yung situs of taxation? Di ba yung situs is, ano yung coverage ng kanyang taxability? So ano yung mga properties na kailangan nating i-add sa kanyang gross estate para masasubject siya sa estate tax. Now, dito sa estate tax, depende kung anong klaseng taxpayer ka. If you are a resident citizen, sino ba yung mga resident citizen? Sila yung mga Pinoy na nakatira sa Pilipinas. So lahat ng properties ng Pinoy na nakatira sa Pilipinas, whether nasa Pilipinas located or nasa outside the Philippines, included sila as part of the gross estate. Taxable sila, no? Subject sila sa estate tax. Kapag ikaw naman ay non-resident citizen, meaning to say, ikaw ay Pinoy, pero hindi ka nakatira sa Pilipinas, same rule, no? Lahat ng properties mo within and outside the Philippines are subject to estate tax. Kung ikaw naman ay resident alien, meaning you are a foreigner, pero you are residing in the Philippines, so lahat ng properties mo within and without are subject to estate tax in the Philippines. Pag ikaw naman ay non-resident alien, meaning you are a foreigner and you are not a resident of the Philippines but you have properties in the Philippines, then yung mga properties mo within the Philippines will be subject to estate tax. Pero yung mga properties mo outside the Philippines are not subject to estate tax. Now, let's go to the basic formula. For a while. Okay, so let's go to the basic formula. So we start with gross estate. Ano yung gross estate? This includes all properties, no, whether real or personal. Real meaning yung mga immovable, yung hindi mo matatransfer from one place to another, gaya ng lupa at saka bahay. Personal naman, gaya ng car, laptops, etc. So, less allowable deductions, dapat yung gross estate, lahat daw ng properties mo at the time of death. So kung meron kang mga properties na nabenta mo na before you died, so hindi na yun sila included, but lahat lang ng mga properties na hindi mo pa na-dispose, no, at the time of death. Then less allowable deductions, so we will discuss later kung ano yung mga allowable deductions. And then pag deduct mo yan ng allowable deduction from the gross estate, then you will arrive at the net estate after allowable deduction. Okay? Then, we will less share of the surviving spouse, no? 1/2 share. Kasi, di ba, balik tayo dun sa family code, kapag married ka, after the effectivity of the family code, so ang mag-govern na property regime is yung absolute community of property, which is half lahat ng properties ninyo, no? Even if some of your properties are acquired before your marriage, di ba? Yun yung rule. So, kapag namatay pala yung person, yung married person, yung half niyan is mapupunta sa spouse niya. Kaya ililess natin yan from the gross estate. Kasi yung isa-subject lang natin sa tax is yung half. Yung half lang ng conjugal or community property. So after natin ma-deduct yung share ng surviving spouse, makukuha natin yung net estate. Now, ano yung inclusion sa gross estate? So ito yung sinabi ko kanina, no? Lahat ng properties, real or personal. Okay? Then, meron tayong mga additional dyan ng mga items. No? We have decedent's interest. So kapag meron siyang mga interest, no, in other properties, like for example, merong common property, tapos meron siyang income from that common property, kasali yun siya. Transfers in contemplation of death, ano ito? Like for example, yung decedent, alam niya na mamamatay na siya, meron siyang expectation, no, na mamamatay na siya. So ngayon, gumawa kaagad siya ng, let's say, donation or deed of sale dahil na-contemplate niya na mamamatay na siya. So sabi ng batas, dahil that is a transfer in contemplation of death, then that will be included as part of the gross estate. So hindi natin siya i-consider na disposed na talaga siya. Kasi yung consideration ni decedent is dahil mamamatay na siya. Okay? Revocable transfers, now to the extent of any interest therein of which the decedent has at any time made a transfer, where the enjoyment thereof was subject at the date of his death to any change through the exercise of power, no? Even if meron ng transfer, pero if the decedent reserves the right to revoke the transfer, then that is part of the gross estate. Parang ano ba, kahit na nag-transfer ka, yung totoo talaga na intention ni decedent is really not to transfer, or yung intention niya is yung property matatransfer lang upon his death. So parang sabi ng batas, parang nag-advance ka lang, pero yung totoo talaga na intention is hindi mo talaga siya itatransfer during your lifetime. And therefore, magiging part pa rin siya ng gross estate, no, for purposes of computing the estate tax. Property passing under general power of appointment. Ang tandaan nyo lang dito is yung appointment is general power, meaning wala kang specific person talaga na binigyan ng property. And therefore, kahit na, like for example, no, itong, to the extent of any property passing under general power of appointment exercised by the decedent by will or by deed executed in contemplation of or intended to take effect after your death. So, parang yung intention ni decedent is hindi talaga niya tinatransfer during his lifetime. Kasi kailangan pang hintayin na mamatay siya before talaga ma-enjoy ng transferee yung property. So therefore, part pa rin siya ng gross estate. Now, with respect to proceeds of life insurance, to the extent of the amount receivable by the estate of the deceased, his executor or administrator as insurance under policies taken out by the decedent upon his own life, irrespective of whether or not the insured retained the power of revocation or to the extent of the amount receivable by any beneficiary designated in the policy of insurance, except when it is expressly stipulated that the designation of the beneficiary is irrevocable. So may dalawang instance dito, no? Kung yung beneficiary is yung estate, meaning yung property ni decedent, regardless kung revocable o hindi, yung designation ng beneficiary, yung estate, so magiging part siya ng gross estate. Pero kung yung beneficiary mo is other person, kapag yung designation ng beneficiary is revocable, then part siya ng gross estate. Pero kapag irrevocable, excluded siya from the gross estate. Then we have prior interests. So all rights, no, that are not included, no, in the above mentioned, no, items are part of the gross estate. Then we have transfers for insufficient consideration. Like for example, nagbenta ka ng property, yung talagang value ng property is 1 million, benenta mo lang ng 100,000. So sabi ng batas, that could be a transfer, no, for insufficient consideration. So yung difference between the fair market value and the selling price, pwede siyang isali sa gross estate. Then we have capital of the surviving spouse. Diba, remember, kanina sinabi natin na half ng conjugal or community property, i-deduct talaga natin yun. Ay, part yun, di ba? I-deduct natin yung half. So therefore, yung entire conjugal or community property should be included as part of the gross estate. Kasi later on, sa allowable deduction, i-deduct natin yung half. Now, let's go to the allowable deduction. So, summarize na natin dito, no, sa ating slide. So, before we arrive at the net estate, kailangan nating i-deduct itong mga items na ito. Since we have 4 different kinds of taxpayers here, ayan, we classified them into 2. We have citizens and residents, meaning when you say citizens, included na dito yung resident tsaka non-resident. When you say residents, this refers to aliens, no? Resident aliens. And the other one is the non-resident alien. Now, first item is standard deduction. So, itong standard deduction, given ito siya, no? Kapag ikaw ay citizen, whether you are resident or non-resident and resident alien, so automatically meron kang 5 million standard deduction. No need for receipts, official receipts or sales invoice here, no? Hindi na kailangan kasi standard yan. And with respect to non-resident alien, 500,000 yung kanilang standard deduction. Claims against the estate, ito yung mga utang ni decedent na hindi niya nabayaran. Namatay na lang siya, pero may naiwan na utang. So, pwede yung i-deduct natin, no? But with respect to non-resident alien, proportionate lang kasi in proportion lang sa yung, di ba, within lang kasi yung ano niya, status of taxation. So, doon lang sa portion na within yung magiging, yung i-allow natin na deduction. So, meron tayong requirements, no, for claims against the estate. Requirement natin dyan, dapat daw, yung utang na yan is in existence, no, at the time of death, of course, no? Then, it must be duly notarized. Dapat merong, it must be in a public instrument, no? And if the loan was contracted within 3 years before the death, the administrator or executor shall submit a statement showing the disposition of the proceeds of the loan. So, kunyari, namatay siya yung utang is kinuha siya within 3 years bago siya namatay, kailangan ka magpakita ng statement kung saan ginastos yung loan. Okay? Ang intention dyan, baka kasi hindi na si decedent yung umutang niyan, no? Hindi siya yung umutang. Okay? So, we have claims of the deceased against insolvent persons. First, sino yung mga insolvent persons? Sila yung mga tao na wala na silang means of paying their liabilities. So, meaning to say, yung assets nila is less than their liabilities. So, opposite ito ng claims against the estate. Kasi yung claims against the estate, utang yan ng decedent. Yung claims against insolvent persons naman, ito yung credit or ito yung pera na supposedly dapat masisingil ni decedent. Kaya lang namatay siya. Hindi niya nasingil yung utang. Okay? So, para ma-allow siya as deduction, dapat yung person na nangutang kay decedent must be insolvent. Okay? And dapat yung value ng property or ng claim, it must also be included as part of the gross estate para later on sa baba, i-deduct natin siya. Meaning to say, yung claims against insolvent person, kasali ito sa gross estate, kasali din siya sa allowable deduction. Parang offsetting lang. Then, unpaid mortgages, meaning, ito yung mga utang ni decedent na like, may sinangla siya na real property or personal property, tapos hindi niya nabayaran, namatay na lang siya. So, pwede nating i-deduct yung unpaid na mortgage liability, provided yung value ng property mortgage kasali siya sa gross estate. Do not forget that, no? Oh, I forgot one item pala dito, losses pala, yung mga losses. Sorry, hindi ko nasali. Pero after ng unpaid mortgages, meron tayong losses, no, as an allowable deduction. So, yung losses, dapat incurred during the settlement of the estate arising from fires, storm, shipwreck, or other casualties, or from robbery, theft, or embezzlement, no? When such losses are not compensated for by insurance, dapat walang insurance, no, yung property. And dapat hindi siya na-claim, no, for income tax purposes. Then we have, notice nyo ito, only in proportion lahat dito kasi nga, yung non-resident alien, taxable lang siya on his properties within the Philippines. Then let's go to property previously taxed. So, sorry, taxes ang nakalagay pero taxed yan. So, paano natin simplihan yung explanation ng PPT? Actually, dito sa PPT, ang tandaan nyo dito, yung 5-year period. Like for example, yung namatay, decedent 1, namatay siya. So, na-transfer niya yung property niya kay, let's say kay A. No, from decedent 1 to heir A. Then ngayon, within 5 years, mula sa pagkamatay ni decedent 1, namatay ulit si A. Meaning, pagkamatay ni A, mapupunta na naman yung property na namana niya from decedent 1 to B. So, ano itong property previously taxed? So, sa scenario natin, di ba dalawang transfer yon? Decedent 1, namatay siya, di ba? Na-transfer kay A. Ngayon, hindi sumobra na or hindi umabot ng 5 years, namatay na din si A. So, na-transfer kay B. So, meaning to say, sa first transfer from decedent 1 to A, nagbayad si A ng estate tax, tama? Kasi merong estate transfer, di ba? Now, within 5 years, namatay ulit si A, na-transfer kay B. So, meaning to say, magbabayad na naman dito supposedly ng estate tax. But, under this principle na property previously taxed, dahil meron ng previous payment ng estate tax, so pwedeng malilesen yung liability natin for estate tax dito sa second transfer. Kasi nangyari is within 5 years lang yung sunod-sunod na pagkamatay. So, meron tayong principle dyan na kapag namatay siya within 1 year prior to the death of the or within 1 year, like namatay si decedent 1, then within 1 year namatay din si A. So, 100% ng value ng property na namana niya shall be deducted from the gross estate. So, i-deduct natin kasi within 1 year lang, namatay na po itong heir, di ba? Pag 2 years naman, more than 1 year but not more than 2 years, 80% yung allowed as deduction. Take note na yung 80% based siya sa value ng property inherited. Okay? Then, kapag more than 2 years but not more than 3 years, 60% na ng value. Kapag more than 3 years but not more than 4 years, 40% ng value. Kapag more than 4 years but not more than 5 years, 20% yung value. Pag more than 5 years na yan, so balik siya sa regular. So wala nang allowed deduction for property previously taxed. Okay? So let's proceed to transfers for public use. So meaning nag-donate ka no sa government no for the use of the government of the Republic of the Philippines or any political subdivision thereof for exclusively public purpose, then that can be allowed as a deduction. Then we have family home. Ano itong family home? Kung dito ka nag-reside, dito kayo nakatira ng family mo. So you can claim no as a deduction. An amount equivalent to the current fair market value of the decedent's family home, provided hindi siya mag-exceed ng 10 million pesos. So for example, yung value ng house and lot nyo, yung residential house and lot nyo is 5 million, then hanggang 5 million lang yung allowed na deduction. Kasi yung threshold natin is 10 million. Pero ano yung requirement dito? Kailangan kumuha ng certification from the barangay na yung house and lot na yan are considered as your family home. Diyan kayo nakatira. Then we have amount received by heirs under Republic Act number 4917. So, if you can notice na with respect to family home tsaka amounts received under Republic Act number 4917, hindi siya allowed as deduction kung ikaw ay non-resident alien. But the rest, pataas, allowed siya. Tsaka yung share of the surviving spouse. One half no ng conjugal or community property. Now let's go to the exemptions. So ano yung mga transfers na exempted from estate tax? Number 1 is the merger of usufruct in the owner of the naked title. Kasi for the simple reason na ikaw naman yung naked owner talaga. So wala talagang parang transfer so as to subject no that particular transfer to estate tax, 'di ba? Kasi nga ikaw naman yung talagang owner ng property. So wala talagang transfer no for estate tax purposes. Wala ding namatay, okay? The transmission or delivery of the inheritance or legacy by the fiduciary heir or legatee to the fideikommissary. Remember here na yung fideikommissary, siya talaga yung intended na heir. Kaya lang, dinaan lang niya sa fiduciary heir. So therefore, wala talaga siyang legit na estate transfer, no? Kasi yung first transfer is kung na-subject na yun sa estate tax and later on mapunta kay fideikommissary, parang ano lang, parang kasi si fiduciary held in trust lang yun sa kanya, yung property, hindi talaga siya yung heir. And therefore, yung transfer from the fiduciary heir to the fideikommissary is not subject to estate tax. At saka yung mga substitution of heirs, di ba? Transmission from the first heir, legatee or donee, in favor of another beneficiary. So hindi din siya subject to estate tax kasi, di ba remember yung substitution kapag hindi available yung first heir, masasubstitute yung isa. So meaning to say, isa lang talaga yung nangyari na transfer, walang succeeding transfer na naganap, okay? Na-change lang yung beneficiary or heir. And all bequests, devices, legacies, or transfers to social welfare, cultural, and charitable institutions, no part of the net income of which inures the benefit of any individual, provided, however, that not more than 30%, ito yung ano dito, yung importante, not more than 30% daw ng bequests, devices, legacies, or transfers shall be used by such institutions for administration purposes. So remember, the exempted transfers. Now, how do we value the estate? Kapag yan ay usufruct, then it is valued, no? Or there shall be taken into account the probable life of the beneficiary in accordance with the latest basic standard mortality table. And with respect to properties naman, yung valuation talaga natin is at its fair market value at the time of its death. So let me just emphasize this. So kahit na nag-process ka ng transfer in the year 2021, kung namatay yung decedent in the year 2018, yung valuation niya will go back to year 2018. So hindi pwede na yung fair market value na basehan natin is at present. Kung kailangan, ang basis natin is kung kailan ba namatay si decedent. Kung ano yung value at the time of death, yun ang gagamitin natin. So kahit na 10 years, 5 years pa, bago mo na process yung estate tax, hindi magmamatter yon. Balik talaga tayo kung kailan siya namatay. So, kaya lang mangyayari, kapag late ka nag-file ng estate tax, mag-i-incur ng interests and penalties. Yun lang ang difference. So, how do we value properties? Kapag yan ay real properties, so whichever is higher between the fair market value as determined by the commissioner or the fair market value as shown by in the schedule of values fixed by the provincial or city assessors. So with respect to personal properties, yung valuation natin ng personal properties is based siya kung magkano yung purchase price ng property or fair market value niya at the time of death. Okay? So, estate tax return. So, this is the sample of the estate tax return. Yung tawag natin dyan is BIR form number 1801. Time for filing. Kailan ba fina-file yung estate tax? Within 1 year from the decedent's death. So, beyond 1 year, you are now liable for interest and penalties. Extension of time, pwede ba? Yes, in meritorious cases. So, but not exceeding 30 days for filing the return. Place of filing, saan ka ba magbabayad? Sa authorized agent bank, like Land Bank, or revenue district officer, collection officer, or duly authorized treasurer of the city or municipality in which the decedent was domiciled at the time of his death, or if there be no legal residence, with the office of the commissioner. Payment of tax. So, same rule ito sa income tax na pay as you file rule. Meaning, at the time of filing, you should also pay your tax. So, meron bang extension of time for the payment? The answer is, that can be allowed if the payment on the due date of the estate tax or any part thereof would impose undue hardship upon the estate or any of the heirs. So, pwedeng mag-extend ng time for payment but not to exceed 5 years in case the estate is settled through the courts or judicial, or 2 years in case the estate is settled extrajudicially. In such case, the amount in respect of which the extension is granted shall be paid on or before the date of the expiration of the period of the extension. And the running of the statute of limitations for assessments shall be suspended. So dahil nag-ask ka for extension, suspended din yung statute of limitation. Where the taxes are assessed by reason of negligence, intentional disregard of the rules or regulations, or fraud on the part of the taxpayer, walang extension ay grant yung commissioner. If an extension is granted, the commissioner may require the executor or administrator or beneficiary, as the case may be, to furnish a bond in such amount not exceeding double the amount of the tax, and with such sureties as the commissioner deems necessary, condition upon the payment of the said tax in accordance with the terms of the extension. So allowed ba yung payment by installments? Yes. No, in case the available cash of the estate is insufficient to pay the total estate tax due, so pwede yung payment by installments within 2 years from the statutory date for its payment without civil penalty and interest. So who has the primary liability for the payment of estate tax? Under the law, it is the executor or the administrator. No? Sila yung may primary liability. Subsidiary liability or secondary liability shall belong or shall be ano ba? Basta yung beneficiary yung yung merong subsidiary liability shall be borne by the beneficiary to the extent of his distributive share of the estate. When you say executor or administrator, it means the executor or administrator of the decedent kapag meron siyang designate, or if there is no executor or administrator appointed, qualified and acting within the Philippines, then any person in actual or constructive possession of any property of the decedent. So, kailan ba madi-discharge na from personal liability yung executor or administrator? Kasi we mentioned earlier na the executor or administrator has the personal or the primary liability to pay for the estate tax. So, madi-discharge na siya upon payment of the amount of which he is notified. Non-deficiency. So, basically yung deficiency, kapag merong kulang sa estate tax payment. So, yun yung deficiency. Okay? Payment before delivery. So, no judge shall authorize the executor or judicial administrator to deliver a distributive share to any party interested in the estate unless a certification from the commissioner that the estate tax has been paid is shown. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, kailangan isettle mo muna yung estate tax before ito ma-distribute sa mga heirs. So, ano yung mga duties ng certain officers and debtors? Yung registers of deeds, hindi sila pwede mag-register ng transfer ng name over a real property or real rights therein or any chattel mortgage kapag walang certification na bayad na yung estate tax. So, meaning to say, parang naniniguro yung state na dapat mabayaran muna yung estate tax bago matransfer yung pangalan sa property from the decedent to the heirs. Yung lawyer naman, notary public or any government officer na nag-intervene in the preparation or acknowledgement of the documents, meron silang duty to furnish the commissioner, the regional director, the revenue district officer or revenue collection officer of such documents, copies of such documents. And yung mga debtors naman, hindi sila pwedeng magbayad kani-kanino lang. Kailangan merong certification na talagang bayad na yung estate tax. Restitution of tax upon satisfaction of outstanding obligations. Ang ibig sabihin lang nito, what if for example, pagkatapos na magbayad ng tax, may nagbayad ng utang. Okay? So, if after the payment of the estate tax, new obligations of the shall appear, ay meron palang bagong mga obligations na nag-appear, and the person's interested shall have satisfied them by order of the court, then they shall have a right to the restitution of the proportional part of the tax paid. Kasi 'di ba, yung mga utang is allowable deduction sila. So kapag merong mga nag-appear na mga bagong utang na hindi natin na-consider before, so pwedeng magpa-restitute tayo ng magkano yung tax na nabayaran natin para masauli sa atin, Kasi parang merong overpayment of estate tax. Payment of tax antecedent to the transfer of shares, bonds, or rights. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, before ma-transfer yung name to the new owner in the books of any corporation or partnership or society anonima, business or industry, kailangan bayaran muna yung tax. Merong certification na bayad na yung tax. And ito yung bago na-introduce under the train law na, kasi before, kapag merong ang bank account, hindi mo makukuha yung pera doon. Hindi makukuha ng heirs yung pera na nakadeposit sa bangko. Not unless nabayaran yung estate tax, di ba? So, but here, no, under the train law, you can now withdraw the amount deposited in bank, no, for provided kukunan yan ng final withholding tax na 6% para makuha mo yung pera. Okay? Kasi, yung explanation dyan, paano mo babayaran yung mga estate tax kung wala kang pera? So, para ma-aid yung payment of tax, kaya ina-allow na ng batas yung pag-withdraw ng amount, no, in bank deposits. So, okay, that's it, no, for estate tax. So, thank you for listening. Kung bago ka sa aming channel, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell para ma-inform ka sa aming mga new videos. And if you have questions or clarifications, feel free to comment in the comment box. Thank you.